All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry I didn't give y'all a heads up of when you'd be coming on screen. Hi. So this is kind of a special edition of PubTalk Live. We're doing a behind-the-scenes chat with the Pitchforks committee, some of the Pitchforks committee members. So we're not doing the news portion today. If you've seen the show, we're not doing that section today. So we'll just have a whole bunch of time for answering questions. So we're going to be sharing some stats with you today. I have an announcement, but we are basically here to answer your questions. So go ahead and start dropping questions in the chat if you have them, and we'll answer what we can. And I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves before we get started. So hello, I am Sarah. I've been hosting the video chats. I am I guess, the agent liaison, and on the board. And I was managing director in a previous year, and I was social director a couple of years before, and I was a mentor since 2012, since the very beginning. So we'll just go around, and we'll have Kellye go next.
Hi, I'm Kellye Garrett. I am obviously on the Pitchforks board. I am currently the mentor liaison. I've been doing that for 2 years. In 2018, I was the managing director. I mentored from 2015 to 2020, not this year. And then I actually was a Pitchforks mentee in 2014, Table of Trust. And so I got my agent through Pitchforks, and my first novel was my Pitchforks book. And I write mystery novels.
Next, am I next?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Hi, I'm Gail Villanueva. I'm the author of My Fate According to Butterfly and Sugar and Spice.
Oh,
oops, it's upside down. So I'm the technology director for Pitchforks, and basically I'm in charge of the website. So,
yeah. I mean, that's a lot, though. That's like people don't know. That's a lot.
Yeah, so I'm not mentoring this year, but I did mentor last year, and I usually mentor MG.
We'll do Sonia, because it looks like she's unmuted. Yeah.
Oh, hello. I am Sonia Hartl. I'm the communications director for Pitchforks. I was the managing director last year and the communications director for the 2 previous years before that. I've been a mentor since 2015, and I was a mentee in 2013. And I write young adult and romance books, and I have one of each of those out this year. The Lost Girls is my YA sapphic vampire revenge story. And my adult romance, Heartbreak for Hire, is my Revenge for Hire romance. So revenge was a big theme for me in 2021. So yeah, that's it. That's me.
Great. I'm the newbie here. Hi, I'm Rochelle, Karina. I am a 2018 mentee and have been mentoring 2020 and now 2021. Been doing the blog for, oh gosh, has it been 2 years now? Something like that, 2 years. And here I am. I write mostly romance and some thrillers and romantic suspense. And that's it.
Yeah.
I'm Brenda Drake. Hi. I'm the founder of Pitchforks, and I'm a young adult fantasy author. I don't know what else to say, but hi.
You're the author of the New York Times bestselling series, The Library Jumpers.
Yeah. And I do things here and there, whatever Kellye tells me to do. I kind of do. I help Rochelle
I'm
do the
not
blog.
a bully. I'm not a bully.
No, Kellye just keeps everyone on task.
She has to. I'm like, my head is in the clouds lately.
Yeah, so cool. I think I'm going to start with my announcement just so I don't have to keep talking around it. Yeah, it's an exciting but sad, bittersweet, shall we say, announcement. So this will actually be my last Pitchforks video chat that I'm hosting, because as of today, I will no longer be with Pitchforks. I know, because I've accepted a position as an assistant literary agent at a literary agency.
Yay!
If there have to be a good reason, that's the best reason.
Yeah, it's something I've been working towards for a while. So, and at least Kellye and Brenda and Sonia knew that. And it finally happened. And I actually got the offer in August, and I was like, I gotta help Pitchforks through the end of September. Like, I can't leave right before submission. So, yeah, thank you all. Oh wow, thanks guys. I'm seeing all the comments come through. Yeah.
I don't
So,
know. I it's going to be hard for me. Sarah started with me in 2012, so it's like
Yeah, we're gonna miss
crazy.
Sarah a lot.
Yes.
They're the they're the numbers person.
Yeah.
They have the best memory. Like I have the worst memory. I'm like, wait, what did we do last year?
I know,
So
right?
Like, I'll tell you. So it's gonna be a rough transition. We were joking how there'll be no videos next year. There'll be no stats next year. Like
Yeah.
Definitely, like if anybody asks a number, like I'm gonna answer probably it's starts with a 1 and like, 2 digits.
Yeah. I tell
That's the
them
kind
I
of
still
answers
gonna
we're gonna
bug
get.
them.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know who you're going to get to do all your Excel sheets next year. You better find someone.
No, they really just said that to us. We were like, oh, that's a good point.
Good point.
Yeah. So did that person text you back, Kellye?
Oh, let me check. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, so someone will be taking over for me as agent liaison. We know who it is. We just don't want to announce it without their permission.
They
No?
did not
Okay.
text me back.
So they'll announce it probably this weekend. If he doesn't. Oh. Oops. If they don't text you back.
What? A man
There is a clue.
A man is working on Pitchforks. That's impossible.
I think everyone knows now because I use an accidental pronoun. All right. And then Leah's actually going to kind of take over the video chat. She asked me how to do them. I don't know who's going to host them, but she's going to make sure that they happen. So don't worry, they'll happen. And then Rochelle is, so I've been kind of filling in for social because we haven't had a social person for a little while. So Rochelle, you want to announce yours? New role?
Sure. Thank you. We were when Sarah started looking at this, and I'm such a loudmouth on Twitter. Somebody said, "Hey, would you like to take on social media?" And I said, "Sure, anything that I can do to help, because that's my passion." You guys, Pitchforks. I will be sharing that with Anna, and I'm gonna butcher her last name, and I apologize to her. She can kick me for it sometime if she ever sees me. Calling my non-evil twin, also another Pitchforks mentor. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, and Anna's in the UK, so that will help us have more.
Anna's in the UK, so we'll have a good
around the
broad
clock
time to be actually on and watching the hashtag.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to mention at the beginning, Lee just commented, Lee is actually on the Twitter account right now, so she'll be kind of like bringing some of the things that we say over there, and if people have questions, she might bring them over here. Yeah, so thanks, Lee, for doing that.
Yeah, thank you, Lee.
And Leah's going to stick around, and she's still going to do some like social media projects and stuff, so.
Oh,
all right,
she's doing PW prompts.
Mm-hmm.
Is that prompts?
Yeah.
I was stalking the hashtag today. So many people are doing them, and it's just really amazing to see all the people who are doing them and seeing their faces and what they write is really cool. And just like Gail, like I always try to do it, and I never I don't get past day 5.
I myself, and then like probably in a day or two, I'm gonna
we're doing it on TikTok this year, so I'm hoping that may help me because I'm obsessed with TikTok right now. I'm gonna keep doing them. I don't care. But
I keep my TikTok completely separate from anything else.
Yeah, find me on TikTok. All right, so we don't have any questions yet, so I'm gonna start giving out some stats. But I'm gonna play a little game. There is a stat here that Kellye is gonna be extremely excited about.
I know what it is.
I know nothing.
We had 4,174 submissions this year, give or take. There may be some of those being subtracted from like duplicates and stuff like that. I'm just making sure there's no questions coming in. Okay. And okay. 1,686 of those are young adult.
And
1,848 of those are adults.
Holy,
this is something Kellye
thank you.
has been trying to get to happen like since she started with Pitchforks.
Oh my god!
I just want to give some backstory because we have time.
Right.
So I'm an adult writer. I was an adult mentor for 5 years, and so I came in as managing director in 2018. And so like I was like more adult, and it seems like the past, because it started off, primarily with YA, which makes sense because that's what Brenda like writes. And so the last couple of years, it would be like even like a YA would just be a little bit more than adult in terms of submissions. And then this year, I was checking every day. I was like, oh wait, more adult. And Sarah was hating. You're hating. Like,
well, we're gonna get into that stat too in a minute.
The hating stat. I was just so excited. I mean, it's obviously I'm happy that everyone submitted any category, but I'm just super excited that adults represented this year. So thank y'all.
Because adult used to be a lot lower in submissions than the other categories we do. Yeah. So it's really impressive that you've brought that up over the years.
Do we even talk about my middle grade?
I'm about to. Once they stop bantering here, well.
We're bantering.
Middle grade, we had 483. And then the new adult firm. So we don't have new adult mentors, but we have young adult and adult mentors who accept new adult submissions. We had 157. So that's if you're better with percentages, which I am. It's 40.4% YA, 44.3% adult, 11.6 middle grade, and 3.8% new adult. So one of the stats that I told them when we were like getting ready for this and trying to predict submissions and stuff is that young adult traditionally in the last 2 years had been 13 to 15% more likely to submit on the final day. That was not true this year. YA and adult were pretty close. It's like 19% of YA submissions came through on the last day and 18% of adult submissions came through on the last day. But 22% of middle grade submissions came on the last day. So middle grades were the procrastinators this year.
That's so unlike them too. They're usually the first to get everything done.
Well, here's a funny thing too. So like we opened about an hour early, right? So we had 1.5% of YA submissions came in that early hour, whereas 0.6% of middle grade came in, because we all know the middle grade people get to sleep at a decent time and they're not awake at 11 p.m. But actually adult 1.2% came in that hour. Those are really kind of the only trending statistics. Like adult was more likely to submit on the first day, middle grade was more likely to submit on the second day, young adult is more likely to submit on the third day, and new adult by far was more likely to submit on the fourth day, which is just like weird. Like the number is like way high. I like checked it twice because I was like, is that an error? Okay, so you can submit up to 4 mentors, but some people choose to submit to 1, 2, or 3 mentors, right? So we had 1% of submissions submit to only 1 mentor. New adult is like 5 times more likely to submit to only 1 mentor, which is surprising. But so about 94% of middle grade new adults and 93% adult submissions submitted to all 4 mentors, but 98.3% of young adult submitted to all 4 mentors. So basically what that means is young adult are just much more likely to shoot their shot. All right, and a couple more. I know people always want to know genre, so I have a couple of genre stats for you. This isn't too extensive because I literally had an hour to do because I went to like my niece's soccer game and then came here and did this. So fantasy comprised, I'll have y'all guess what percentage of submissions do you think fantasy, all fantasy, including urban fantasy and paranormal?
64.32%.
I'm going to say 45%.
I'm gonna say 46%, and we're playing prices right.
I'm not gonna be like super off right now, so I'm gonna type in
60.
50.
All right, Kellye almost got it. 44.3% is fantasy of all submissions.
Also, I was the
I don't
main
even
one.
remember what I said, but
60
only
something.
because I'm not.
But
Also, I was
some of the
I was the
gonna say-
main one. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, we keep talking at the same time.
I was gonna say, so basically, y'all have certain jobs like during submissions, and so my job was I would monitor the submissions just to kind of see how many, because the mentors couldn't see what their submissions were, and so I would just go and I would monitor them just to say, like, if there were certain people were having a lot, I would just give them a heads up to be like, hey, just so you know, you're going to have a lot of submissions. You might want to get a slush reader and things, this and that. So I did get to kind of see more. Like, so I knew I saw like a lot of fantasy when I would be in the submission side. So maybe I cheated a little bit.
But so that was 51% of middle grade, 58% of young adult, 50% of new adult, and only 29% of adult. So
Really?
That's surprising.
yeah, so adult was about 11% science fiction, 29% fantasy, 13% mystery, 17.5% romance, and 14.7% contemporary, and that includes women's fiction.
Okay.
So women's fiction there were 180 adult submissions in women's fiction, and there are 271 contemporary submissions. So really, there's only like math 90 contemporary submissions in adult that weren't in another genre. But mostly contemporaries and romance.
All these numbers are just being.
But
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep giving behind the scenes stuff. So the reason why these stats are so important that Sarah does and will not do next year is we use them to try to guesstimate, like, how many mentors should we have next year? How many, like, how we need to make sure that, because we do try to make sure that we have enough people to take every genre.
Yeah.
And so if it's 28%, I don't know, 11% mystery, then we want to make sure we have, at least 10% of mentors taking mystery. So that's why the stats are actually very important that we won't have next year.
And we try to make it fair on the mentors who are taking the submissions too, that they're not getting bombarded with over 500, over 600, and that still does happen. If you do get that, but we're trying not to make it like 3 fantasy mentors taking every single sub that comes in.
Yeah.
And I will say every year we actually add more science fiction and fantasy mentors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people always ask us, why don't you have more middle grade mentors? And it's because of the numbers of submissions.
You wouldn't want us fighting over.
Yeah, so middle grade was
a peaceful age category.
Middle grade was 11.6% of submissions this year, and I think it was right around 12% last year. So that stayed pretty similar. So just real quick, and then we'll move on from statistics because I know people always want to know this stuff. 8% of middle grade submissions. So this is all middle grade. 8% was science fiction, 51 fantasy, 3% mystery, 0% romance, 22% contemporary. And then so young adult, it was 11% science fiction, 58% fantasy, 4.5% mystery, 7.6% romance, and 13% contemporary. New adult.
Majority of the submissions I got last year was like fantasy.
Yeah, fantasy is very big.
New adult surprised me because I actually expected more romance, but we have 8% science fiction, 50% fantasy, 4% mystery, 21% romance, and 9% contemporary. And then an adult, I think I mentioned already, but I'll say it again, 11% science fiction, 29% fantasy, 13% mystery, 17% romance, and 15% contemporary. Those same science fiction and fantasy numbers, by the way, don't include horror because I couldn't classify them. But we got 23 in middle grade, 31 in YA, 1 in new adult, and 61 in adult. So horror does pretty well.
You know what? I saw a lot when I was in the inbox, the site. I saw a lot of Gothic.
Yeah, Gothic, we have 2 middle grade, 15 YA, and 14 adult.
Oh, maybe I didn't see a lot of Gothic.
Well, that's kind of
maybe you
We
happen to see
probably
it about
checked it at the start because, like, I think I remember seeing like a lot of Gothic coming in.
In the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to comment on genre-wise was, so we don't focus on memoir. If we have memoir mentors who happen to take memoir, then we will take memoir, but it's not, because we're focused on fiction only.
Yeah.
But every now and then a mentor will want memoir. And we had mentors in young adult taking memoir, but we got 0 young adult memoirs. We did not have any adults mentors taking memoir, and we still got 4 memoir submissions.
This is so tricky.
Yeah.
It's so tricky. It's tricky to do that balance, and we definitely try really hard to have a balance. And we do listen. You know, I know a lot of times people are like contemporary dark things. We not a lot of mentors take it, so we do try to make sure we have mentors who take darker stuff, because it can be hard. I know I never took it, so it can be hard. So.
Yeah. Kathleen asked about thrillers. So mystery, thriller, suspense and cozy mystery are all in the same percentages that I gave there. Like, I didn't do percentages on thriller, so it probably won't make much sense. How many people submitted in total? 4174. Okay. We have some questions now. So can you share which mentors of each age group got the most submissions? No, and we won't share that. It's kind of like personal to the mentor. We don't want to like violate their privacy or anything like that. So we don't do that.
I know some are sharing online.
Yeah,
so
some of them can share their own, and that's fine. But it definitely it can create a problem if we share.
Yeah.
That.
I will say that we had someone who got more than 300 this year. I don't think.
I'm sure we have several who got more than 300. Young adult fantasy, especially. All right. So let me go back to where the questions were. Oh, Laura asked, what's your favorite part of Pitch Wars? My favorite is these lovely people on screen with me.
Aww. Yeah, that is my favorite too. Well, and then the community, just seeing like when the people that appreciate Pitch Wars and everything that we do, and those kind of people are like my favorite, to hear that when we've made a difference for them.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, especially whenever I see like somebody getting agented. Yeah. But if you want to like ask me if, like, what aspect of the technical side of Pitchforks I love the most, you're gonna be surprised. It's actually the blog hop. I mean, I know it's like the most stressful part of the Pitchforks. That's like probably stressful.
It's stressful for you, though.
No,
you're the one dealing with it.
Actually, it gives me some kind of a rush to like troubleshoot multiple things at the same time. So it's like
you're like rapid,
kind of like solving a puzzle.
Should we share how the blog hop? So what happens is we had like we had 115 mentors this year, and so unlike other mentoring programs, we actually have the mentors do wish lists on their own site, and so we have to coordinate that they all go live at the same time. And we have to make sure that they're all live before, so that's the tricky thing. And so we usually ask them to submit a link before, like a couple of days before, so we can create that linky. And then we have to just confirm that it's actually the right link when we open. So that's why it's always very stressful.
And back in the old days, oh my God, that was like a total nightmare. Before Gail, that was like almost, oh my gosh. It's so much better now, Gail, and how she does it. It was just like...
Yeah, well, it's actually the thing about it is like planning before it. And that's one of the reasons why we have like, we ask the mentors what kind of website platform they're using. So I more or less have a gauge of the ones that I will have to like really pay attention to. Like, these people are most likely to have a problem with their link because it's possible that they're going to have like a database setup or something like that. So
I'm like, what?
Yeah,
And then she's like,
Here's the spreadsheet
don't worry
and
about
everything.
that person. I do their website. Don't worry about that person. I do their website.
What?
Yeah,
The best part though about having the tech director do your personal website too is that I can just be like, Gail, tell me what to do.
Fix it.
Yeah.
I think she's gotten to fix stuff before too.
Yeah. She's definitely she's like,
Absolutely.
I have an admin login to their account. Don't worry.
It's fun. Actually, I think it's got a lot to do with the fact that my first job was a technical support representative for a call center. So I was literally like the person that people call when they have a problem with their computers. So,
You're so good at it.
that was like that adrenaline rush. It was like solving a problem.
Yeah.
It's weird, but
I do love the community. I do love I love especially when people tell me, oh, I didn't get into Pitch Wars, but it helped me find my critique partners, or I didn't get into Pitch Wars, but it motivated me to finally finish my query letter or whatever. So I love that. Even people who don't get in and get a mentor, I love that we are still able to help them in some way. And I think that's really cool.
I also really love those like moments when people, like when you say when they meet up with critique partners and they start giving each other things that they hadn't gotten out of their own writing before, like they're trading things that they know and their own knowledge. And it's really cool to see people having those breakthroughs and talking about them on the hashtag and just from meeting people on there. It's very cool.
I love the fact that this whole Pitch Wars thing is run by volunteers who have such a passion to help other people. I mean, it's not like, a business or anything like that. It's all volunteer. It's giving up your time when, you don't really have that time to give, but you still want to give it because you want to help fellow authors or writers or whatever in their journey, and you're compassionate about that. I wish more people knew that, this is what we are. We are all volunteers, and that, we only want the best for everybody, and we try our hardest to do the best. And I cannot ask for a better team than the team that has run Pitch Wars for, last few years. So, I mean, you guys are all great.
And Brenda did it by herself for years. And it was like
I still don't know how.
Probably not that good. It was like, wow, this is so much more professional. They think it's a business. Before it was like, oh yeah, this is run by somebody.
We did have to reload our Linky codes a lot more back then.
Yeah, those were like crazy. Like, okay, here's a new one. Yeah.
Yeah, and like some on the really busy times, which you see some of them, like submissions and agent showcase are the two biggest ones that the public sees. But even like choosing mentors, getting mentors wish lists in, getting mentors profiles up, on those weeks, we're working usually like 40 hours a week on top of our normal jobs, on top of, everything, trying to sleep. Like Gail, sometimes I feel so bad for Gail because she's like, I'm just going to go take like a 3-hour nap and then I'll come back. And like, that's all the sleep she gets that day.
I think the good thing now is that we all like Sonia and I are like early birds, and like Sarah is up all night and Brenda's in the so I think it works because like, okay, in the morning time I'll wake up and I'll answer Gail's questions, but if it's evening, like Sarah will answer, so
and
like,
Ayanna too. Ayanna's in the morning too.
Yeah.
So it's like me and Gail and Brenda at night.
After midnight schedule. So like I'm gonna fill the chat with
Gail's like 12 hours off of us.
What I like is that I'm like 2 hours behind.
Yeah.
12 hours. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
12 hours. Yeah, I'm like 2 hours behind everybody. So when I wake up, everything's already handled and solved, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. I'm glad you guys figured that out.
I wake up, I see messages, and I'm like, I'm going back to sleep. Kellye can take care of this.
Also, we like always joke that Sonia and I are nicer. Like, so if you
the morning crew is the nice crew.
So like email in the morning if you need to. Like, oh, I'll just do it. What's the problem. Like Gail and Sarah said, we'll just leave it to Kellye and Sonia in the morning.
And then you like regret it like 12 hours later.
Because we're like, yes, do whatever you want. We'll do it for you. It's great.
All right, let me scroll through
Go
questions.
hide.
Let's see.
I think my favorite part is actually the mentor. Not like I love the community as well, but just I'm friends with pretty much all my mentees, and I'm like I talk to them all the time, and they're all just like agents, and some of them have book deals, and so just building that relationship and just mentoring them was always been my favorite part, which I'm not doing this year, but it's still my favorite. So.
Yeah, mentoring is fun.
We have an interesting question from Sarah J. What's the strangest thing to happen during Pitch Wars?
There's a lot of bad. There's a lot of bad.
Okay, there was this time when I was at a conference with Sarah, and everything broke down, and I was like in the room.
It was during
crazy,
submission.
and it was before Gail, so it was like a nightmare.
Was it during submissions or was it wish list?
It was during submissions.
Submissions.
And I was at
we were in a conference.
Yeah.
And
it just
like
nothing was working.
Yeah, it was before Gail, and Brenda like couldn't even remember her passwords or something. She was like calling people trying to get passwords.
I was just a mentor back then.
I was extremely intoxicated. So I was just like I don't know.
No, it had to do with the I don't know, Bluehost or whatever, and too much.
Bluehost is a terrible host too.
Stuff.
I had it for a while, but
usually I have all of my logins with me, but I didn't have that
because you're traveling.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. And then
so we were like in Brenda's hotel room. I had literally had like a bottle of wine at this point, and Brenda's like trying to figure. She's calling people, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I am not any help right now.
Emotional support.
And this was before the committee, so I was at that point I was like a mentor. I wasn't, in the leadership or whatever. Poor Brenda.
In the end, it did work out.
I think
there was so much stress getting it to there.
People always why can't mentors go on the site? It used to, because back in the day it used to crash all the time, and so Gail has made it so we have not had a knock on wood like a crash.
Knock on wood.
And since 2018 when Gail took over, so that's why we're always like don't like submit right away and don't do this and don't do that, because we're just always afraid the site's gonna crash.
Yeah, because that was not fun.
In 2014, I think it was. It was like email, the forms were emailed to an email or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the email, I should also point out the reading period at that point was like 2 weeks, I think.
It was a week. It was a week.
And we got locked out of the email account for like 18 hours.
Yeah.
So we lost basically a whole day on the reading period.
I was applying to be a mentee that year, and I watched all the mentors freaking out on the hashtag, and I was like, "What's going on?"
It was not good. It was so stressful, and like I remember that year I had the most submissions, and it's not because like I'm special or anything. I just had like a really wide wish list, like I've always had, and it was like 64 or something, which now is like low number of submissions.
for some people,
That was back then too. That's when mentors only got the first 3 chapters and a synopsis, and they could not request more than that. So they were picking whole manuscripts to mentor based on that. And it was like, that's why the reading period was so short back then.
Yeah.
But now they get to read the whole thing. So it's much better.
Now they get a month. They get like a little over a month, I think. So
yeah. We used to like to torture people back then, so that's why we did.
You just shifted the torture all.
Like
longer waiting.
Like deadlines were fluid. When things would open were fluid. There was a Brenda surprise almost every day.
It's only because growing up, I could never ever do Christmas. Like people can't put Christmas presents under my tree and not expect me to want to know what's in them. So it's like, that's what I was like, oh, we can't wait anymore. Let's just do it now.
That's why, like, now it's like, no, we're actually gonna stick. People are always like, oh, is there gonna be an early surprise? Like, no, they're people stickler for rules in charge of the process right now.
Yeah, right now it's like, no, sorry, it's automated.
Yeah. Gail's like, no, I literally have to hard code this entire site so we can go live. So. Yeah.
But they were fun still.
They were fun.
That's fun.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm not understanding this question, but let me read it out loud and maybe it'll make more sense. You list individual expectations for mentees about revisions on your profiles, but could you talk more about that? How harsh the process gets and what percentage of the story will be left into?
It just depends on the mentor, you know,
and the mentee and the story and everything.
Yeah.
The mentee, the story, what the mentee wants out of the mentorship, because mentors don't go in there and say, change all this immediately or else, you know, I mean, it is the mentee's story and everybody's very respectful of that. So what percentage gets changed is really kind of up to them, up to the individuals.
Yeah.
I think one of the things about Pitchforks is everyone, and I understand it, everyone always wants concrete numbers and facts and things like that. And it doesn't always work like that with a creative process. Like we can't say how many people are going to get, like what they're going to request or how many mentees are going to be like historical, because it's really what the mentor responds to, you know, and has a relationship, because we ask them to ask questions of the mentee a possibility beforehand. So that's why we're not being stubborn when we say, oh, we can't answer that. It's just that it's a different process for 115 mentors on teams.
Yeah, and I think it's also about the availability of the mentee and the ability to like revise within a specific period of time. Because like that's one of the things that's one of the questions that I usually ask my potential mentee is that how much time would you be able to dedicate in the period of the mentoring period that you'd be able to dedicate. And from there, I'm going to base my decision in like, okay, I think this person can do an overhaul. And let me tell you, my mentee last year did like 100% overhaul. So if you want a percentage, like in my case, it was 100%.
Right.
I had her overhaul the entire thing. But as far as I know, there are mentors who actually just, you know, had somebody revise just a bit of it, a bit of the manuscript, not the entire.
When I was a mentee in 2014, I did not have a hard revision. You know, I was lucky that it was just a couple small things and more like line edits and things like that, you know. But I always used to tell my mentees, like, tell your significant other you're going to see them in 3 months and they're going to hate me because you're going to be writing when you're not doing other things. And I think most of my mentees all revised about 2/3. And they did it in 2 months or 3 months, you know, and so, but that was just the process because that's who I happened to pick, and I felt they could do it, and they did it. So,
and it's a good way to learn to, like, you're going to be working hard for 3 months, just like you would if you were working with your agent or an editor at a publishing company. These are like deadlines that you're going to have to get used to.
Yeah,
so it's kind of a way of getting used to the business because it can get hectic like that.
Even our lesson, you might get like, oh, can you look at these copy edits and this proofreading in 2 weeks or a week, you know, and you have to literally stop what you're doing and reread your book for the 500th time for like copy edits. So it's this is a business, you know. And
for sure.
For me, the goal with Pitchforks is also to help prepare you for the business, and I want you to make the mistakes here with us than versus in your career. So like deadlines and knowing, like even knowing what mentors that same thing with finding an agent, knowing what agents are going to take what you want and things like that. That's like, this is the training ground for you to hopefully learn some skills that will benefit your entire career.
Yeah, following submission guidelines is like a big thing. And like we've gotten a little bit stricter, but mainly because our volume's gotten so much bigger. Because like, so we can't be, you know, allowing a whole bunch of people to violate the submission guidelines.
Right. Especially when so many people do follow them.
Yes.
I think majority follow it anyway.
Did you
And
say?
it will be a majority.
Yeah, they do. Most
Majority,
people
yeah,
do.
yeah.
And I feel like it's not going to be fair for the majority who follow the rules
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
to make exceptions for those
Right.
few.
I mean, we try to be as flexible as we can, but like sometimes we can't, you know.
Right.
But back to Alexandra's question, I did for a while. I always had mentees that had very small changes, just because of my style as a mentor. It wasn't to choose a book that needed like a lot of work, because I was a publicist for a long time. So I felt like my expertise was like taking books that were almost there and making them more saleable, which is usually like tweaks and you know, adding in different elements or whatever. And then Lee submitted to me, and I read her book, and I was like, I have the perfect vision for this book, but it's going to require you to cut like 80 pages and weave in a whole like subplot. And she was like very excited about my suggested edits, and so I chose her, and we did a big revision on that. So it can vary even year to year with the same mentor, like how much work someone does.
Mine's done that. I've had mentees that have done complete rewrites, and I've had mentees where it's just, you know, scene level edits. It really just depends on how I feel about the book that year and where I'm at mentally that year, what I feel I can take on as a mentor. And where, you know, what I feel like I can give to the mentee, and if I feel like I'm really helping. Because the whole purpose of Pitchforks is to pick a manuscript that you feel like you can help. And so, you know, if I'm not in the right space to do a ton of an overhaul, then I won't pick a manuscript that needs that much work. But like everybody else was saying, it does help prepare you as well for the real life deadlines. Like I rewrote half my manuscript when I was a Pitchforks mentee in 5 weeks. And then last year I had pretty much a 6-week deadline on a full book during the beginning of the pandemic. So like that kind of getting into the habit of editing and revising and drafting at a deadline pace really helped me later in my own career too.
Yeah, my mentee year, I did about half of my manuscript.
Wow.
And I mean, I had plenty of time to do it, but you know, my mentors warned me, you're going to hate this book and want to throw it out the window by the time you're done. And they were right. In the end, I loved it. But last year, my mentee only had about a third that she had to rewrite. So it's the dreaded, it depends.
Yeah. This book I happen to have here.
I can't see
for my book, Keeping Our Secret.
Oh.
I wrote this in 29 days. That was my contracted deadline because we sold on a proposal. And I did big picture revisions in 2 weeks. They were crashing this book, in case it wasn't obvious. Like I wrote the book in January and it came out in July. Yeah.
Wow.
And my copy edits, I had a week. Yeah. And so like when people are like, oh, Pitchforks is so fast, like sometimes I would have loved to have had the Pitchforks schedule.
I know.
And I did a TikTok about it today.
TikTok.
But yeah. All right. Brittany asked, how common is it for more than one mentor to pick the same mentee?
Not an adult in middle grade.
Definitely not in middle grade.
You want to explain wars, Brenda? Do you want to explain wars?
I think someone else should do that because I'm kind of like
on
spacey at the moment. I'm like, I don't know. What? Wars?
Rochelle, do you want to... Do you know what happens in a war? Have you ever been in a war?
Or
no, she's adult.
I've never been in a war.
Okay, I'll try it. I mean, I
don't mentor. You don't know what wars are.
Last year, there was an amazing book, and Sonia, I think, wound up mentoring that amazing book. We had a lot of behind-the-scenes conversation about who was going to take it, because I loved it, and she and her co-mentor loved it. So a war is basically when a mentee is submitted to their 4 mentors and more than one of them likes it. And if they don't have an adult conversation with one another, like we did,
not adult. or MG conversation.
Yes, I said it. Okay, I'm the evil twin, remember? Seriously, no, I'm setting that aside. If the mentors can't come to an agreement behind the scenes, then it goes to the very, very end. And I believe the mentee is notified, and they get to pick which of the warring mentors they want to go with. That's the super, super short version.
And the mentor gets to make their case. They get to send
right, and the
email.
mentors get to pitch the changes that they would, their vision for the revisions for the book. So kind of exciting, but also kind of terrifying
for everybody.
For everybody, you hear horror stories among the mentors about I will never war again.
Well, yeah, because if you lose a war, you don't get to pick anything
stuck.
that anyone else has chosen.
Right.
So a lot of times you're then on your, fifth or sixth choice.
Right.
I mean, like there are so many amazing things in Pitch Wars, but it's just like heartbreaking to lose out on your first choice. But how common is it? We get less than a handful every year, like 2
I
or
think
3.
we had 2 last year.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
2 or 3.
And they're always in young adult. I'm a young adult.
They're
But
so passionate.
I'll call them out. It's always young adult. Yeah, they are so passionate about it.
It's
You're
because
right. That's
they're
a
so
good way to put
passionate.
it.
You did that very well, Rochelle.
I used to,
Yeah.
I think it's funny. In adult, we tend to have conversations, and I have been saying to someone like, okay, well, if you're super passionate about that, because I think for a lot of us, and that's all, we want our favorite, like the projects we'd like to all make it, and we know we can only mentor one. So if Sonia really likes a project, and I really like it, but I like that other project, I'm like, oh, well, then they both get in because Sonia's going to mentor A and I'll mentor B. So I think that's kind of the idea behind it with adults, because we have a conversation
similar with us.
My only concern for that book was that it got in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who took it?
Right.
It's more like kind of like this. It's like, oh, Gail, do you like this? I see that you've have you read this book already?
Yeah.
And what do you think about it? Like, and I'm just gonna ask, like, do you want it? And they'll say, yeah. Okay, you can have it. That's how
The middle
sell
graders are so nice. Like they're the nicest people in the world. Like if I was going to submit like to Pitch Wars, I would write a middle grade just so I could submit to middle grade mentors.
Honestly, like there have been times I've had to go on like
They're
the
so
middle
nice.
grade thread to like do something, and I'm like, I feel like I'm like in a land of like marshmallows and sunshine in here.
It really is.
They're so nice.
I realized whenever I made my announcement, we missed one person who's going to be changing positions a little bit. So if you didn't know, me, Kellye, and Brenda are the board members for Pitch Wars, which means like we're the people who hold fiduciary responsibility for the nonprofit organization that is Pitch Wars. And so obviously I'll be leaving that role, and filling that role will be, go ahead.
Oh, me. Hello.
I wanted to make sure Sonia has to leave a little early.
Yeah.
Sonia needs to leave a little early, so I wanted to make sure we got that in before she had to head out.
Yes, I'm very excited to be on the board, and with that, I actually do have to leave because I have another event at 10, not 7 today. So.
Yeah.
All right, I will see you all later.
Bye,
Bye, Tanya.
Thanks.
Which means Sonia will be in charge of the money because that was my role, and so good luck to her.
You waited until after she left to share that.
Yeah.
We didn't tell her that. Okay.
Yeah, we haven't said that yet. And when Sarah said I was on meds, it's only because I had surgery. So
Yes.
I don't like do that recreational or anything.
No one thought you
Just to
did,
say.
Brenda.
Just
Yeah,
to make
Brenda
sure.
actually had surgery this week during submissions week, and still helped us during submissions week, which is
We
just
put her to
like,
work today.
I don't
Today,
even
incredible.
Are you
Good
feeling better
enough.
yet? Are you feeling better yet? What's up to do?
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
leaving.
know. I'm
Y'all
like,
gotta
what?
figure out some.
I think I messed up more and you had to fix things.
No,
Not today.
All right, let me take a look at the questions. So we have some questions that are more like mentor focused, but we'll go ahead and because we have a lot of mentor experience here too. So basically the questions boil down to what is your process for, filtering down your submissions from hundreds to one? And then what are some of the examples of questions you ask when you request more material?
When I was a mentor, my process, people don't always write the best queries, like especially if you're starting out. And so I would always start with pages first. And then I would go and read the query just to see if it matched. I was a mystery mentor, so I never read the synopsis at first because I wanted to be able to read the pages to kind of make sure if it worked with the twist ending. So that's what I did. And then we actually we give suggestions for questions that mentors should ask. So we can definitely share that after everyone else shares their process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I mentor, I do read the query and the pages and the synopsis, just because.
Oh, we're the same.
Huh?
We're the same. I do the same
Yeah.
thing.
So, I mean, the query, it probably won't be really that great, but I just kind of want to see what the hook is. And then, of course, the pages is where my main decision comes in play, is whether or not that voice connects to me, if the person can write. You can tell a lot by those pages, the first chapter. And then the synopsis is important because you need to see if they have a plot arc and what their vision is for that story, or what that story is going to be about. I think, does that make sense?
I'm about the same as Brenda. I actually skim the query first so that I have a vague idea of what I'm going into, then read the pages, and then go back to the query and read it in detail, and then look at the synopsis for the plot arc, character arc. Does the ending fit with the genre? Very important with romance.
Right.
Is there the expected beats of that genre? And have they revealed any twists and surprises and the ending? So that's kind of how I started out.
And sometimes the synopsis isn't written very well or whatever, but you kind of can still see kind of like where they're taking the story. And that's the only important part. I care that it's there. Yeah, because other things in that story you can work on, but if you know, like if they have a plan for their story that, you can work with.
Mine is exactly the same like as Brenda's, but although with me, I use the synopsis to see if this book is something that I can fix. It's not. I don't really care where it's going. If it went it went the wrong way. But the point with me, it's like more like, if it went the wrong way, is this something that I would be able to guide the author to the right path with this one? And that's when the questions, like the additional questions, come in. I think my common questions are just typical. What are the things that you don't want to change in the book? They're the non-negotiables. How much time would you be able to dedicate? And I think a lot of mentors ask the same.
I pulled some up that we actually suggested that they ask. We ask, is there a reason you chose to submit to me? What is the query history? What is your writing experience? What do you think the manuscript's greatest strengths and weaknesses are? Here's a big one we tell them to ask is there something you won't change? Because especially for me, like if I know that you definitely don't want to change X and I feel like X is an issue, then I'm probably not the best mentor for you because I want it to be your vision. So, and then,
and please answer that one honestly.
Yeah, please do. Because you'll have to, like when you're in the mentor's experience, it's going to be a bad experience if you guys are on the same page. So.
So my process. Oh yeah, my process was always quite chaotic, which is weird because I'm like.
And you're always the last person to give.
Okay, Brenda, I was always the last person in choose. I mean, I always hit the deadline.
But yeah, I would.
But Brenda didn't
like
deadlines.
I was like, you haven't sent yours in.
Yeah,
you're the last one.
But basically, I would read, and the ones that I really, really, really wanted, I would request. And then a lot of times, what would happen is days later, I'd find myself thinking about something that I read, and so I would go back and request that I hadn't requested. And when Leah and I were co-mentors, obviously we had to like be a little less chaotic. And we had a spreadsheet system where, you know, we put yes, no, or maybe for each of us. And if it was 2 yeses, obviously we requested right away. If it was a yes and a maybe, we requested. If it was like a maybe and a no or 2 no's, like we didn't request. That was kind of the thing. But one year, I think we mentored together twice. So the first year, I'm like 20% of the way through the submissions because I read a little slower than she does. And she's like, I found it. I requested the full, like, this is going to be our mentor, right? Or our mentee. And it was like, because of who I am as a person, I was like, but we have a process. We didn't go through the process. Like, I haven't even read, like, and then I go and read the submission. I'm like, I'm not going to say that word. F yeah. I'm like, that's it. That's our mentee. And we both read the full and we loved it. And we both had a good idea of how to strengthen it. And that book, that was honestly, like, that was the book that I most loved out of all the submissions I've ever read. Like, I got chills reading it, and that book still hasn't found a home yet. And so it's interesting because, like, I mean, I've loved a lot of books in Pitch Wars, but that was probably my most favorite out of all of them.
The industry.
Right? But also, like, when I read Ellie Blake's submission, that was pretty early on. I read it. Yeah, I read it, and I was
2014.
Like, 100% like, this is it. This is the book I want. But when that happens, when you connect with a book like that so much and you have a good vision of like how to connect with it, what happens is that when you read the rest of your submissions, you're comparing it to that one. You're like, do I love it more than that one? Do I have a better vision for it than that one? And that does actually make the decision process a little bit easier. But maybe it's not fair to the other submissions, but like when you have a book like that you connect with so strongly, like that's just, you know, it's magic.
I just want to say that in terms of that process can happen anytime. It can happen on the first day. It can happen. I've had people find their mentees like 2 days, a couple days before we had to turn picks in. So it could happen anytime in the process. So don't think if you're not getting requests right away that you're out the game, if you will. You know, mentors will request until the last minute.
Until the last. Yeah,
I've done that too. I ended up picking a mentee who I requested from, like, it was like 2 days before picks were due.
Brenda was probably like,
yeah, because I had read the others and I was like, I like a lot of them, but I don't know, I'm not really super connecting with them. So I went through again, and there was like one that I had been thinking about, and so I requested from it, and then I read it. I will say this: synopsis. We were talking about synopsis earlier. I wanted to say this. I read the synopsis for everyone that I'm thinking about requesting, because what happened to me one year when our reading period was much shorter, the book changed genres in the middle of it. I mean, like, it was like a fun steampunk book, and then all of a sudden it was like a horror novel. Like, it was just like a switch was flipped. So, and that was back before synopses were required with the initial materials. I didn't think I needed a synopsis. I didn't bother requesting synopses. And ever since then, I requested synopsis every single time, because I had been because I had spent so much time investing in it, and I don't do horror, right? So I had spent so much time investing in it, and it, I felt like I wasted time a little bit. So that's what synopsis can help prevent us from doing. I'm sorry if you hear a yappy dog. My mom has a friend over.
I know. I was like,
my dog.
My dog.
I'm like looking at all of you, going, "Who the heck has this?"
Me.
Well, it's not my dog. He's here. He's quiet.
No.
So yeah, I totally agree with that, because like there are like mentors like me who would request like towards the end of the reading period, and it's not because because last year I had like a lot of submissions, and I had to like be really picky about the requests the ones that I request. So I think I just I had to go through the submission. Like I do believe like I had half the total of MG submissions last year, Yeah, I had like I wasn't really sure what I was looking for, so I had quite a lot. So what I did was like, I just read everything, read all of the submissions before I even requested a single thing. And I'm not the best, I'm not the world's fastest reader. So you can imagine when I started requesting, it was like almost at the end, and everyone's like, talking about MG mentors were like talking about like, do you like this book? And I'm like, oh, I haven't got into that yet. So it really varies from mentor to mentor. So don't lose hope if you feel like, if you didn't get like a request on the first day of reading, just wait a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a slow reader, so definitely. I have discovered if there's any
just to go through the things.
Sorry.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
If there are any mentors watching, here's a tip, especially if you've trained your ear and you read audiobooks a lot. Edge browser will read anything to you out loud. And then also Microsoft Word will read anything to you out loud. So when I interned for an agent for a while and I read full manuscripts, and I would set Edge browser to read submissions to me from because we use a web-based platform, while I was like cleaning and while I was like, brushing my teeth or whatever. And so you get like a little extra time. Oh my gosh, dog. One of my parents' chihuahuas does not like strangers at all. All right, so we have a question from Camry. Will you explain the process of the showcase, how communication with the participating agents works? Yes, I will, because that's what I did last year.
That's your job. Yeah.
That was your job.
And the person who's replacing me, I hope you're watching, because
let me check.
I'm going to send them a full breakdown, but
they said absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So the person who's replacing me as agent liaison is going to be Michael Mame, who many of you may know. He was a Pitchforks committee member for a while. He's been a mentor for a long time. He's very active in the community.
He was a mentee in 2015.
And he also he has always taken a special interest in agents and trying to especially recruit agents for some underrepresented genres, adult science fiction.
And he's a spreadsheet and stats guy.
Yeah, and so yeah, he's going to be replacing me as agent liaison. So yay. Congrats, Mike. And I know he'll do a great job. But yeah, so basically we start contacting them in fall, so October, November, so pretty soon. We start contacting agents who have participated in the past, agents who participated last year, and asking them if they want to come back for this year. They have a profile on the Showcase website as I don't remember what it's called, Gail. It's like user or something.
Username.
Anyway, it allows them to comment on Showcase entries, basically. So they have to log in to comment. So we start setting up in about October and November. And then we'll take a look at the list and see like if there are any genres that might be lacking, and we try to recruit agents who have never participated in Pitchforks before. Newer agents, especially, because newer agents are hungry, right? And also they didn't participate last year because they weren't agents last year.
Will you be participating this year?
We'll see. I'm starting out assisting someone, so we'll see how that works out. But and then basically we just communicate with them. We send them, their login information. They can and then we update them on the site so that they're able to comment whenever the showcase starts. And when the showcase starts, we send them an email just reminding them, hey, the showcase has started. And then usually what I've done is with about 2 days left in the showcase, if we have a spreadsheet that tracks everything so we know whether agents have requested or not yet. And if they haven't requested yet, I'll send them a reminder about 2 days before it ends, just so they, don't forget. Because like agents are busy, so maybe it slipped their mind or whatever. And last year we had about 200 agents participate, right around there. I did a lot of recruiting last year, so we, I think we had about 150 2 years prior. So it is increasing.
We started out the first year like 20 agents. now. It's like,
Yeah. And I mean, these are like there are a lot of like top tier agents too who participate in pitch wars. So it's fun, super fun.
Do you want to explain how it works with the mentees?
Yeah, so Cameron just asked a follow-up question, so that's good because so what happens is the agent will comment on the site. So comments don't show up right away. They don't show up until the end of the showcase because we were noticing kind of a pile-on effect. So we wanted to prevent that where, once an entry got about like 25 requests, it would end up getting like 60 because everyone would kind of pile onto that entry. And so now they're not visible to anyone else except the agent team. So the agent liaison in charge of the agent showcase team. And we have a group, it's all mentors. Usually there's like usually about 8 to 10 people who there's an email set up so that whenever an agent comments the comment notification goes to this email address and the team is assigned certain entries. And so whenever one of their entries gets a request, they send an email to the mentor that says, hey, you have a request from this agent. That's all the information that they get. So they can't submit early because they're not supposed to submit until the showcase is over because they don't know how much the agent has requested or how they're supposed to submit. But they do know that they have a request from a specific agent. That allows them to start researching the agents that are requesting before the showcase ends. So they get a little bit of head start on that. Mentees can still submit. If an agent participates in the showcase and does not request a mentee's submission, they can still query that agent because we only do like a short pitch on the site. And some books, they're really hard to pitch in a short pitch, especially like literary stuff.
Some are better with query.
Yeah. So they can still submit. And after the showcase ends, they can still submit to any agent they want as well. I guess there was like a rumor going around that like you could only pitch to Pitch Wars agents, and that's not true.
I want to say one thing. Agent Showcase is also very stressful, and I think PitMad days and Agent Showcase, our volunteers are like literally sitting in front of their computer all day checking. For PitMad, they're checking the hashtag, and then for Agent Showcase, they're checking the emails because we'll have thousands of requests through that email thing, and so they're checking it. And we have a spreadsheet that Marianne Marlowe created for us years ago that we now use officially, and we keep track of all of the agents the agent requests, and so we can say, oh, this person has 43 or this person hasn't come in yet. We know because their column is empty, so that's another time when our volunteers are spending full work days volunteering their time for the program, and we're so thankful for that and PitMad days. They're not moving from their chair for bathroom. So
yeah, I used to use PTO days for PitMad and PTO days for Showcase. Like I took the days off work because we had to just be there. And I also scheduled, before the pandemic, I scheduled a massage for immediately after those days. Yeah. But now I just have tense shoulders for a while.
I just want to say for PitMad, I don't think people realize the amount of work. We don't really talk about PitMad as much. The amount of work that Sarah and Lee do for it and the volunteers who do it. And PitMad is huge now, where it really trends in the US, and it has like 300,000 tweets about it, and some of them aren't actual tweets, so I think that's one thing that's why we're so vigilant. Like, please don't retweet things and don't go on the hashtag just to say like, oh, I'll retweet you or things like that, because it just makes the hashtag busier, and it causes harder for agents to see the tweets, but also it's harder for our volunteers, and we don't want our volunteers not to want to do it, because without the volunteers we don't have a program. There's not going to be a PitMad if no one wants to volunteer to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rochelle has volunteered for PitMad before.
No, you probably have stories then.
I seriously, I had my phone with me in the gym, and I was following it doing my workout on the hashtag.
And so one thing about PitMad, so this is kind of weird, because lately, the last 2 years especially, there's been a lot of like retweet schemes, like, oh, you retweet me and I'll retweet you, where they'll go in groups and they'll like share so they can retweet. And if agents follow the directions that we provide to them, that doesn't matter at all, because when they search by latest tweet. and retweets don't affect those.
That's some tea.
Yeah. So a lot of those schemes, like you're better off spending that time making sure your pitch is solid rather than like retweeting a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
So they'll
And
retweet
using the
you.
right like hashtag qualifiers. I think that helps too, right?
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Mhm.
People will just tweet hashtag PitMad and nothing else. And agents, at the very least, search by age category. At the very, very least.
Mhm.
Shannon asked, do mentors help with your short pitch? Absolutely, yes. It's usually one of the last things you do before showcase. And yeah, definitely 100%. It was a big part for me. I was a publicist, like I said. So like that was my big thing. Like your pitch is going to sing, you know?
That was not my strong suit. That was not my strong suit. I'm not gonna lie.
Should have called me.
Should have.
Okay,
I'm
Matthew
hearing
asked.
panting.
Yeah, sorry. My dog is also upset at the visitor. My dog has a neurological condition where his like throat flaps, his breathing flaps don't open all the way, so he pants anytime he breathes. Okay, Matthew asked, could you speak about how one might end up with a request from a mentor you didn't submit to? I saw that it was rare, but wondering if all mentors have access to subs or something. So, stat time. 99.4% of submissions agreed to swapping, which is what we call like when a mentor who doesn't request to you is able to get your submission.
And that's a decision you guys make when you fill out the form. Is you guys say, I want to submit.
So if you say yes to that question, does someone want to explain what happens then?
I will, because I just did the post about it. So what happens is when you have to select that you would like allow swapping, and then usually what'll happen, either a mentor will be like, I really love this one, but it's not for me, or someone who's struggling to find someone to connect to will ask if anyone has anything. And so once that they ask and they want to see more, we still ask your permission. So I'll say like, we'll send an email, our Mentee Liaison will send an email, say, hey, Matthew, Gail wants to check out your pitch or your submission and see your full, and are you okay with that? And if you say yes, then we'll get the full from you and send it to Gail. And if you say no, then we'll say, Gail, sorry. Most people say, I don't think anyone's ever said no. But we do want to make sure you guys have that power and agency to decide, because since you did not pick that person. So
yeah, and then they're able to if you say yes, then they're able to contact you like they would if you had submitted to them.
There are people every year who do pick a mentee that's not theirs or wasn't submitted to them, but for the most part, most people submit. I would say 99% of mentors pick something that was submitted to them.
Sorry, my dog was telling my mom that he had not eaten today, and that was a lie.
Busted.
All right. Wait, there are authors in PitMad that don't include age categories. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot. Please don't do that. Okay. Does having a Twitter or social media influence your decision all when picking a mentee?
I've never had one. Sometimes I think at one time I've had a mentee who was actually active on the hashtag.
I actually, when I read submissions, I don't read the name until I've decided whether I want to request. Mainly because I don't care. Like, I don't care what the person's name is, right? Yeah. So if someone has interacted with me on Twitter, I won't know until I've already decided that I want to request. But also, like, Leah and I, whenever we chose our first mentee, they're not active on social media at all. Like, they have a Twitter account, but like never ever tweet. So that was Kellye.
I'm totally not active on Twitter. So
Kellye, when she was a mentee,
I didn't realize what a big deal Pitch Wars was, and so my friend had told me about it. I was like, "Oh, I'll submit," and I submitted, and I forgot about it. And then literally, my friend had to tell me that I got into Pitch Wars. So like, I was not the person like waiting to be like, "Oh, it's gonna announce early." Like, I didn't even think about it the next day. So I'm also a person who you don't have to really be active on the hashtag to be a mentee.
I'm hardly on Twitter, so. Well, I really wouldn't require my mentee to be on Twitter all the time either. So since How can I'm not even there?
I think Twitter is great for connecting with other applicants. I think it's fantastic for that.
It's great for the community, though.
I'm like Sarah. I'm really active on Twitter, but I don't look at the name of the mentee even when I'm reading the submission. I pay zero attention to that until later.
I think part of it is like I'm so excited to get to the story that I just like the name is not important.
I want the pages. The rest of it, nah.
So if you send a full, will all mentors get access to it, or you send it every time? They have to ask permission, so you will know if a mentor has your full.
They ask, well, if you submit it, they ask you. They'll email you.
Yeah, it used to be different. Mentors used to be able to share fulls, but no longer.
One thing about the mentors not being able to get access, the only people who will be able to see your submission are the ones that you submitted to. Because like I've designed the submission website in such a way that unless they're logged into their account, they won't be able to see the submission. And if it's not sub to them, they're not going to see it at all.
Yeah.
So
unless someone shares the PDF with them and you've given permission for them to do that.
So the mentors all read everything. That's why the submission site is so cool. That Gail's put everything on the site. It's really pretty. It looks gorgeous. It's just every submission has one.
It is
really
a very
pretty
pleasurable reading experience.
You know, and the page, and it has their name, and it has the other people they sub to, and it has their query, then it has their synopsis, and it has their pages. So it's a really great reading experience. And I've looked at my phone and been able to read on it. I've looked at my tablet. So it's a great site that Gail's done. So thank you, Gail.
Yay!
It is fabulous.
Kim has a question that I think is hilarious. And actually, someone asked about like the weirdest thing to happen in Pitch Wars. So I want to tell a little story related to that question, this question.
MG is the best.
Why do you think middle grade is lower when it clearly has the best mentors and is the most fun to write? So I will say a couple of years ago, I have managed the mentor application process. So not necessarily chosen mentors, but I have managed that process for the last couple of years, mainly because of my ability to use Google Docs.
Wow.
I mean,
I think also your ability to
the way I was doing it was hard. Like Gail is going to do it this year because I'm going to tell her that she needs to. And it's going to be so much better for y'all and everyone else involved because the way I was doing it was not fun. Anyway,
we got to talk about that later.
Yeah.
So
a couple years ago, I'm kind of like, I do spot checks on mentor applications as they're coming in. And I'm like, Newbery Medal Award winner Erin and Kellye has applied to mentor in Pitch Wars.
They freaked out. They freaked.
And Kellye was like, Kellye, the adult, author, is like, who? I'm like, Kellye. And I'm like, I'm freaking out. Like, I have full body chills. And then I messaged Juliana because I was like, you're not going to believe this, because I knew Juliana would freak out. Juliana was our mentor liaison years ago and middle grade, and big fan of Erin, obviously. And we're like, what? How? Like, how did she? What? Why is she? What? Hello, And then I realized Erin has tweeted about Gail's book, so I messaged Gail and I was like, Gail, did you tell Erin and Kellye to mentor in Pitch Wars? And she's like, oh yeah, I mentioned it to her. I'm like, Gail.
By the way, like, to my credit, Erin is my mentor outside of Pitch Wars.
Yeah.
So.
And she mentored for 2 years, I think, and she was amazing. She hit every deadline. Like, she was just like an ideal mentor. She was amazing. And we actually expected to see like a jump in middle grade submissions because of, she was a recent Newbery Medal winner. And we didn't. And so I don't know, because we do a lot of like reach out. We do a lot of trying to engage the middle grade community. Maybe there are just fewer people writing middle grade. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if anyone else has any insight.
I don't know. Like, a lot of us would probably, like, I don't know. I'm just speaking for myself and Remy, because most of us are like. But by the way, Remy Lai, Pie in the Sky, and she's also she used to be a mentor, and her book Pie in the Sky was in Pitchforks. And you can get it. Yeah, you can get it before before Christmas for somebody, for a middle grade reader that you have there. Anyway, the thing about us is that a lot of us would probably be busy with school visits. That takes a lot of time and like energy. So it's possible that they're just really busy, and so they're just not there. But there's there's a middle grade community, and some of them just probably would be. I actually I have advertised Pitchforks in the in debut groups and stuff, but a lot of other middle grade authors would probably be on tour, doing school visits here and there, and some of them would be like working on their contracted books. So time probably. This one.
I don't know, like in Florida especially, I don't know how it is in other places, but middle grade authors are particularly involved in like their local SCBWI groups. So I'm wondering if maybe they get some of that like mentoring
I do know that they have
opportunities.
mentoring as well.
Yeah.
With SCBWI.
From SCBWI.
Yeah.
There's well, there was something I wanted. So Cameron asked a follow-up question about agent showcases. They requested Pitchforks of the authors. Yeah, so they requested via the website. There's something. Oh, this is a fun question. I just want to ask y'all. What are some of your favorite published books to come out of Pitchforks? And I will go first. Hollywood Homicide by Kellye Garrett. It's amazing. If you haven't read it, go read it. Was Arsenic and Adobo Mia's Pitchforks book?
Not,
It
no.
wasn't. Well, yeah. I mean, she was still a mentee and a mentor, and that book is amazing as well. Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manuscripts. I love Frostblood by Ellie Blake. I may be biased because that was my mentee, but that book was amazing. And then Sonia, what book was it? Oh my god, it's a female YA fantasy. I can't remember the name of it right now. I'm so sorry, but a couple years later, Sonia was like, "Oh yeah, that book was entered into Pitchforks," and it was like, I don't even know if she was a mentee or not, but I yelled at Sonia. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, I could have mentored that book. What was that book?" I'll have to look it up after when someone else talks. And then Helen Hung's The Kiss Quotient is incredible.
Yeah, The Kiss Quotient.
And that goes back to that question about like, why do I think middle grade not as many people submit to middle grade? We've had a lot of YA breakout books, and we've had a lot of adult breakout books, like big books come out of Pitchforks in those categories, but we haven't had quite as many middle grade breakout books. And I think it's just because like middle grade doesn't quite get that like mainstream attention that YA and adult does. Yeah.
But actually, Remy's book Pie in the Sky, it's well regarded. It also came, like you said, it came out from Pitchforks. And Remy, if you're watching, you owe me. You got a problem with my book as well. So anyway, just kidding. Anyway, there's also like another book that a nice book is Summer Racial Short. I do believe like Kim Long mentored her. The mutant mushroom takeover. She's Summer is also like my agent sibling. So I'm pretty biased with my recommendations. Yeah.
I'm going to name drop my mentee from 2015, Kristen LaBianca, The Last Place You Look. It is a Seamus Award-winning novel. It was up for an Anthony Award. And so I just remember when Kristen returned in her final draft of that book. It was so good. And I just knew when I was reading it, I was like, this book is going to, like, she's going to get an agent. She's going to sell. In fact, she sold her book before I sold my book. And it was just so good. And so I think that's why I love the mentoring experience so much, is when you just find that connection and the person works their butt off and you just like see like the hard work that they put in the past 2 or 3 months. You're just like, oh, you just know. It's just beautiful. So.
I have to say all of them because you know me,
You have to say the answer.
it's like, I can't pick just one. Except for I do love Hollywood Homicide a lot.
Thank you. I'm so glad that I have to pay you guys all money after this is over.
I'm
And I
with
actually
Sarah. Yeah.
Oh, I always forget the second title.
Of Hollywood Ending.
Oh, Hollywood Ending. Yeah.
And also, Like a Sister comes out on March 8th.
I know.
I'm with Sarah and Kiss Quotient and Hollywood Homicide.
I wouldn't say my book because I'm here, but thank you, I appreciate it. Oh, see, look, Like a Sister. That's my.
Oh, I have mine somewhere. Oh, I do have mine right here.
And
that's
I don't, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, can you see?
Yes, you look beautiful.
Okay.
And
it has
I don't know if
this
it was a
too.
Pitchforks book actually, but Zoe Stage was
Baby Teeth was a Pitchforks book. Yeah.
Baby
Yeah.
Teeth.
Yeah.
Baby.
And
I
then,
was gonna add that one too, yeah, because that's not my normal thing. That's not my normal genre. It's very much about like being a mother, which is like not me, but like I listened to the audiobook and that was a good book.
Chills.
It was intense. It was intense, but it was a good book. I did find that book is A Fire and Stars by Audrey Colthurst was apparently submitted to Pitchforks. It's one of my favorite books ever, and I was like, I didn't even know. I didn't even know.
So I'm gonna mess their name up. Zirin, the person who just is the New York Times bestseller. They were a Pitchforks mentee in 2018, which is my managing director year. So I have a special place in my heart for 2018 people. But I don't know if that their book was a Pitchforks. That book that's the bestseller was their Pitchforks book, but they were definitely, and they actually mentored last year with my 2018 mentee Meg Long, and so they're
there are a lot of books that came out of Pitchforks. Sarah, weren't you coming up with a list or something one time?
Yeah, I started developing a list, and I don't know what happened.
Too late now.
Yeah, I'm gone. I'm out. Honestly, like one thing that I think about often is Karen McManus, who is literally one of the most successful young adult authors like of this decade, did not get into Pitchforks.
No, but she was a mentor.
All right, because I'm friends with her, and I'm like, I think the reason why is because
she submitted and didn't get in.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So like we say all the time, like not getting into Pitchforks doesn't mean anything, you know. There are mentees who still don't have agents or book deals, and there are people who did not get into Pitchforks who went on to like extreme success. So we're not the end all be all. We're just like one option, and it really is kind of luck that your book is going to connect with the specific mentor who's reading it.
I think publishing is about luck. You know, I think you have to have talent as well, but it's also just about luck.
Yeah, you have to put in the hard work, but there's still a little dash of luck there.
Yeah, I think more than a little. I think a lot of dash of luck.
By little, I mean lots.
So we've gone almost 90 minutes. So I think we're about.
You know, it's my bedtime.
Yeah, we're about ready to call it for the night. So, but I'm also delaying it because like this is my last official act.
I know.
I mean, obviously, I know that we'll still be friends, but
I know.
I think this is a bonding experience for us behind the scenes because we are essentially coworkers, but more than that, we're friends. Yeah. And so we just spend so much time talking with each other, and it's not just Pitchforks stuff. We just joke around. We have our inside jokes, and we talk about our life things. Like Sarah said, we were like they'd been wanting to be an agent, and so when they told us, our first thought was, "Yay! Like finally, like you deserve this." So it's been great to follow you to this part, and I can't wait to follow you because we'll be friends. And I'll bug you every day to follow you on the next part of the journey.
We ain't kicking you out of our chats.
No, you cannot kick me out. That's where I go. But I need to share news. I shared the mission news today. So I'll be, and if anyone's interested, I'll be looking to represent young adult in all genres and adult romance.
No middle grade, huh?
Not yet. I do want to represent middle grade, but I'm sticking to currently the category and the genres that I know the most, that I know the market the most. because as an agent, like if you start accepting with like all different kinds of genres, that means like you have to know the editors in all those different kinds of genres, and so it's better to kind of start smaller and then as you build your network, expand.
I'm so excited for you.
Dun, dun, dun.
Thanks.
I'm excited, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I'm sad.
I was sad for us, but so excited
It's
for you.
conflicting.
Yeah.
It's a weird feel.
I'm gonna miss it. I am. Don't make me
Right.
cry. I'm gonna cry. That's
It's
part of
been
my brand.
almost, it's been 9 years.
Oh,
What are
I
you
know.
gonna do?
I know.
I mean, you're like one of the first people I go, you want to do this thing?
Yeah.
Want to do this thing called maybe Pitch Wars?
Yeah. Oh, I did. Ebony, thank you for mentioning that. So Ebony is a pubber, which is kind of the regulars on my YouTube channel. They name themselves after my show PubTalk Live. And so I hadn't gotten some questions about that. So I wanted to clarify what's going to happen with all the different kind of other things that I do. So I'll be living Pitch Wars. I will, this is the first time I'm saying it, like to agree with him. Like I will be, I will be ending PubTalk Live in the way that it exists now. Mainly just because it takes up so much of my time, and because I still have to continue to work at my day job because agents work on commission, which means I won't be really making a salary for like 5-ish years is kind of the going timeline on that. I do have to end PubTalk Live just to make a little bit more time. I will be continuing, however, the Wednesday write-ins. So if you come to those, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. we come here and we write on my channel.
Best.
Yeah, and it's a great way to get work done. So we'll still be doing that because I can still do work. So it's it's a double whammy for me. I will still be continuing the Queries, Qualms, and Quirks podcast, which I love doing. It's a weekly podcast that features. Savannah just asked about it. Yeah. So it features published authors talking about their publication journey and sharing their successful query letter. So we'll continue to do that. And I'll also probably continue to do Agent Chat Live. I have several scheduled, so I'm at least going to continue to do those. And then also, if I find someone that I really want to interview on my YouTube channel, I may just do kind of like a one-off PubTalk Live every now and then. So I'll still have my YouTube channel. Don't worry about that. And I actually do have a podcast series, limited series I'll be launching. I don't know when, but I've been working on it for a while, and it's because of the kind of person that I am and like my style. It's going to be called a No Nonsense Guide to Traditional Publishing. So it's going to be short podcast episodes, like 5 to 8 minutes long, covering a very specific topic in traditional publishing. And so that will be coming out sometime. I don't know when.
So it's so exciting.
Yeah. So yeah.
Next
So I'll
step.
be changing the Patreon. If you're a Patreon supporter, I'll be changing some of those levels because obviously some of those are specific to PubTalk Live. But yeah, I think that's all my personal stuff. Sorry, I took a lot of time for me.
Your page. You're started it.
Yeah, so if you submitted to Pitch Wars, hang out, make some friends, participate in PW Po prompts if you get the chance. It's the best way to make friends. There are a lot of groups out there that you can join full of like people who submitted, and you can make friends that way. And we definitely encourage you to do that. So, and this is my last Pitch Wars video. I don't want to end it.
Let's go.
It's so sad.
Yeah. Any parting words from any of you before we say goodbye?
We'll miss you.
We'll miss you.
No, I mean for the people, not for
Oh, no, we have nothing to say to them. No, we're good. They're okay.
Well, this is not like you said, the end all be all of your journey, or the people that are submitting
we say it all the time.
Yeah.
Continue to query. You guys continue to query. Don't stop
down.
querying. But continue to query your thing. You should still be taking every opportunity you can possibly take until you find out that you're a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
A mentee, rather. So.
Yeah. We say these things all the time.
This is like,
and they're true.
Just one path. Yeah.
And I just
is just one option.
Yeah, and I know it's easier said than done, but if you just don't take it so seriously, I don't think we take it seriously. We're the actual board who's doing all this stuff behind the scenes, And I always say, and people get mad at me, but if you consider it like a fun alternative to querying, I think hopefully that can help you. A program to meet people versus like the only way to get an agent. I think some people think it's the only way, and it's not at all.
No.
And it doesn't factor into how talented you are, what your career is going to do. It might help, but it's not. If you don't get in, it doesn't mean anything,
Yeah. And it's tough too. I mean, there's a lot of people that have entered. So, if you get in, that's great. If not, keep querying and be proud that you entered, because that means you're working at your goals and your dream. So,
sharing work with strangers is good.
With that, I'm going to leave you with one last stat, because I really like that you said that, Brenda. Like, the chances are so slim. Like, we have so many entries and so few positions for mentees. So, well, let's assume you're going to do 5 wild cards, because, like, honestly, you're going to.
Because
I know you people. And they're all going to be adult, because the adult numbers were so big. But so assuming you have 5 wild cards, there are 120 mentees. That means that 2.9%.
The math is already done.
2.9% of the people who applied are going to get in. And like, that is not a reflection on your talent as a writer. That is not a reflection on how publishable your book is. That is only a reflection on how well your book matches up with the mentors that you submitted to. So please keep going. Don't lose hope if you don't get in. Make friends, because that's really the important part of Pitch Wars. Kathleen, I'm not sharing the agency yet because I'm waiting for them to make the announcement. So keep an eye out on my Twitter. Sarah_Nicolas.
and their TikTok.
And my TikTok. Sarah Nicolas book. Sarah with an H, Nicolas no H. Right. I love TikTok, y'all. So follow me on TikTok. I just make stupid jokes on TikToks. So
I like TikTok. I just watch everything on TikTok, and I never do anything on TikTok. I'm too.
I also watch. I'm a watcher as well.
No.
Huh?
I just watch as well.
Me too.
I just send Brenda and Kellye like TikToks all the time. Like, watch this.
Yeah.
I'll watch a TikTok on Twitter or Instagram.
I blame my kids for me looking at TikTok. So.
Yeah. Jordan said 100% of submissions took a shot. Yep, they did.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
That's an amazing thing, because you know how many people don't? A lot. So yeah. Congrats, everyone. And we'll see you on the agent side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for everything, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Oh.
No, don't. Okay, bye, y'all. I'm going to end the broadcast.
We're all going.
I'll cry. Bye.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.